You ready? Okay, thank you, Paul. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Have a large crowd here tonight, and we appreciate that. We've got some special guests. We'll go ahead and do our regular openings with the pledge and all, and then minutes and claims, and then we're going to turn it over to our special guest. So at this time, we'll call the meeting to order, and we'll have everybody can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, all board members should have got a copy of the minutes from the April 16th, 24 board meeting and the May 9th meeting as well. Any suggestions or corrections?
Bob, on the special meeting, it was listed as taking place at the corporation office and it was in the cafeteria.
Okay. Okay, you get that, Becky?
What?
The special meeting, Sharon says it was listed in the minutes as where we have a board meeting over in the administration office, and it was in the cafeteria.
So it was in the cafeteria.
Okay, any other corrections? If not, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of those two meetings.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Sharon made the motion, seconded by Tara. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion's carried. Claims for the month of May. Okay, sure, thank you. Claims for the month of May. Any corrections or questions on claims?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, Ryan made a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jason. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion's carried. Okay. Well, this comes to, I guess we'll just turn this over to Senator Burns. If you, at this time here, he has something that he would like to present to the Lanesville Eagle girls.
Would you want me to present up here?
Sure.
Yeah,
Please.
I've got lots of copies. So I've got copies for school board members and superintendents too. Oops, sorry, knocked your name down.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, sir.
That's good. So first of all, I'd like to thank the school board tonight for allowing me to come and present these. I believe the school board is probably one of the most important elected offices in the state. And I truly believe that you guys are responsible for the future of our country, the education of our kids, and that's very, very important. Something dear to me. I served on the school board for 8 years in North Harrison, and understand the trials you go through. And if you need anything at the state level, feel free to reach out to me anytime. Resolutions for the girls basketball team, and that fact for the boys, is a rarity to be done this year because we had a short session. And I want to thank President Robert Schickel for giving me a call, because to get on the agenda to get this resolution, we had to do it the week of the game. That's that Saturday. Friday was the deadline. So Mr. Schickel called me up and said, "Hey, would you be able to do this?" And I said, "Well, we don't want to jinx the team or anything by planning ahead, but we had to be able to get you on the agenda and to get this resolution in." So Lanesville was the only school this year to get presented a Senate resolution. So we want to thank Mr. Schickel for giving me a nudge.
We
to
just
get
want to
that
stay
call.
positive. We know their quality. You want to stay positive.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't want the word out because we didn't want to jinx you guys. You guys have a very quality team and very, very proud of you. And it's one of my favorite things to do as a legislator in the state, recognizing great accomplishments in our community. And what I'll do is I'm going to read this resolution. There's a lot of whereases in it. I think it should go on the record here for you. This was Senate Resolution 39, a Senate resolution congratulating the Lanesville Junior Senior High School girls basketball team on winning the 2024 Indiana High School Athletic Association Class 1A state championship title. On February 24th, 2024, the Lanesville Junior Senior High School girls basketball team, the Lady Eagles, defeated Marquette Catholic Blazers at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis to win the IHSAA Class 1A state championship title. Whereas the Lanesville Eagles faced adversity early in the season with a loss of the center Shelby Allen, who was sidelined with a torn ACL before returning in late December and helping the Eagles win their final 15 games of the season. Whereas the Lady Eagles charged through the IHSAA state tournament with the commanding wins over let me get this right. Jacksonville, is that right? Jacksonville and North Central to advance to the state championship round. Whereas the state title game, the Lady Eagles were challenged again with a knee injury, forcing leading scorer Hadley Crozier from playing with just over 1 minute remaining in the first quarter. Whereas with Crozier cheering her team on from the bench, the Eagles responded with exceptional fortitude and perseverance, rallying behind strong performances from Allen, who scored a team high of 20 points, and Hilton Brumley, who scored 15 points and went 5 from 6 from the foul line in the final minutes to put the game away with the final score of 51-43. Whereas following the championship game, Lanesville Ava Kerr was recognized with the Patricia L. Roy Mental Attitude Award, presented annually to a senior who has demonstrated excellence in mental attitude, scholarship, leadership, and athletic ability. And whereas after winning the 1A state championship on a 29-2 record in the 22-23 season, the Lady Eagles delivered a standout performance during the 23-24 season with a 29-1 record, earning their 6th consecutive state championship and back-to-back state titles in Class 1A. Therefore, be it resolved that the Senate of the General of the State of Indiana, Section 1 reads that the Indiana Senate congratulates the Lanesville Junior Senior High School girls team on winning the 2024 IHSA Class 1A state championship title. Section 2 reads that the Secretary of the Senate is hereby directed to transmit copies of this resolution to the Lanesville varsity coach, Angie Hinton, junior varsity coach, Hallie Hinton, each assistant coach, each student manager, and each member of the Lanesville girls basketball team. This was signed by me and Minority Leader State Senator Greg Taylor, President Pro Tem State Senator Roderick D. Bray, and Secretary of the Senate, Jennifer L. Mertz. Very honored to present this, and I appreciate if Coach Hinton would come up and accept these certificates to pass out. And if you would like, you could introduce the players and pass out the ones that's here if you would like to do so. Plenty here, and very proud and glad and honored to do this for the girls and their outstanding. Thank you.
being able to do this back to back was quite an accomplishment. So, we have here, here is the program. And here, we have Ada Similar over here, Allie Campbell, stand up please, AJ, James, Libby Sayer, Shelby Allen. We have Brady Crozier. You guys helping us on the video. And, Hilton Brumley, and we have Coach Davis and Coach Joe. These are other kids that aren't here because, you know, I always say winners win. We won the tennis sectional, and I've got Jane Davis, Emma Davis are playing, Jenny Sharp and Sydney Hodges are all members of our basketball team. And they're winning, and they're the regional this evening. And our softball team won the first game of the sectional, so they're in their second game this evening. And we've got Ava Kerr, Ellie Schneider, and Madeline Magner on the softball team. So they're having a very successful season, and winners win. That's what we do here, right?
That's
That's right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Senator. One thing I'll just mention, Angie, what's the dates? Aren't you the parade marshal for Gordon Popcorn Festival again?
Yes, we are.
So, thank you. Sure. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just make another side note. One person that does a lot for the team too, and I think everybody knows this, is Vince Stilger. We got an excellent athletic trainer, and I know he's worked well with Hadley and anybody that's been under their Shelby, Allie.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks again.
Mr. Schickel, before we move on, if you are okay with it, there is one agenda item that got left off of the agenda, and I'd like to make that number 26, if possible, and then move adjournment down to 27. But that is asking for approval from the board to post for an assistant principal position for grades K to 12. There's a lot that has come through with attendance and a few other things that we will need some help with to cover the attendance officer piece and a few other things. But I'm asking the approval to post that for 205 days, $80,000 administrative benefits. And so let's move that down to 26.
Got it.
And we can discuss that then if discussion is required.
Anything else?
That is the only addition that I have, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Dr. Apple. Now,
FFA.
they've got the FFA. We got Margot Stewart and
Alex Moore.
Alex Morris. Yes, thank you. So
You guys go ahead and
Come on.
stand on up.
you want to
Yeah.
mention their past accomplishments? And all?
We've got two fantastic individuals here, and we are very, very fortunate at Lanesville. These two members, Margot Stewart was elected the District 11 president for this upcoming year. And then Alex was elected the District Southern Region vice president for this upcoming year. And then later in our agenda, you'll see Miss Kalinda Havener, who is taking a job where she lives in Crothersville, has a young child, so she's taking a job there so she can be closer to her home. But whoever fills that position will then be for next year the district advisor. Is that correct? Okay. Margot, why don't you kind of tell us a little bit, and Alex, if you will, about what that entails and what you had to do to be elected to those positions?
So, as a District 11 president, I currently am not holding the position, but I will hold the position this coming June if I am slated on. So a few, every chapter from the district sends in 2 people, and they all vote on the slate for the district. To get this position, I really just had my involvement with FFA, both with the chapter level and the district level. This past year, I served as the District 11 reporter. So on that, I just worked on making posts for all of our district, for our district account, but also getting judges. Thank you, Mr. Lynn, for helping us out with that, and Mr. Schickel. So yeah, that's what I did to get this position. But District 11 is actually the biggest district in the state of Indiana. So the state's broken down into 12 districts overall, and District 11 is, I'm thankful to say, the biggest district, and I'm excited to serve as the 2024-2025 District 11 president.
Congratulations.
So since District 11 is so big, we have 2 vice presidents. So I'll be the Southern Region Vice President for our District 11. Working with Margot throughout this next year, which I'm really excited about. And it's really cool to have 2 officers on officer teams from the same school. That's really cool and really rare. So that's awesome. But I was our chapter treasurer, so I was with money, trying to make sure fundraisers went well. That was really my job, and I really worked my butt off and did everything I could. And that really paid off, and everything else I do paid off to really build an awesome application that I can turn into for this job. And I wasn't even interviewing for treasurer, but I was interviewing for treasurer, but they gave me something. That's so it's really a surprise. But
Good.
But I know a lot of hard work goes into that, and the young people in our FFA chapter put in a ton of hard work, and it is, as someone who was never at a school with an FFA chapter until I came here, I didn't realize the scope of FFA, and it's not just tractors and animals and crops.
Right.
The leadership traits that these young people get, they can take into whatever sector they go into in life. And so I'm really, really proud of these 2, but not just these 2, our entire FFA chapter. It's a wonderful tradition here at Lanesville, and it's only going to get stronger. Isn't that right, Margot?
Thank you. I will just ditto that. And I guess I'm speaking for Ryan. I think it's okay. But if you ever get asked to help judge the district contest and so forth, I'd highly recommend it. It's very educational. Ryan and I went up to Columbus, Indiana that morning and helped judge, and Margot was there, of course, Alex, and very good experience. But I guess too, we can go out and throw out, if anybody know a good effort, because as she just mentioned, or Dr. Apple mentioned, it's very important. I did not realize that, but the advisor that comes here will automatically be the advisor for the district because of Margot being president. So it ties it to this school. So if you know a strong candidate to be our FFA advisor, please let us know, because that is going to be a very important to fill that with a good, strong leader.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
And
this time they can.
yeah,
if you want to.
FFA and basketball, there's a lengthy agenda here. There's no need for you. If you want to stay and see how all this works, feel free. But if not, at this time, if you want to transition out of here, you can
Hey, don't
go
feel
right
bad.
ahead. And Senator Byrne, thank you very much for being here.
Do I take a recess?
Emma Campbell, it's wonderful to see you.
Okay.
Just declare recess.
Okay, we're going to take a short 5-minute recess for right now, and we'll be back. Paul, do you need to turn anything off? We're going to take a 5-minute recess.
No.
the principal's report. And Jeff?
Dr. Volker's gonna be jealous.
All right, let's try that again.
Is this loud enough, Paul? All right. So good afternoon. For those of you who don't know, we have 2 days of school left. So, and it's, it's probably best. Springtime's hit and the kids are ready for it. We've got staff ready for it, ready for a break. We've got just a couple things going on. My board report is not very long tonight. You may have noticed the Gaga pit. Last meeting we were talking about trying to get that finished up, and it got finished today. And so, as far as, contacting Mike Sizemore and getting all that done, we just, with the weather, we weren't sure when it was going to get done. Honestly, we were ecstatic to have it done for field day tomorrow. I do want to thank, Tara Dye and Emily Tarman, who are our student council sponsors. I mean, Tara, I guarantee she feels like she's felt like she's bothered me with sending me emails about this. I guarantee she feels that way, but I know she just wanted to get it done, and then the rain. But just want to thank those two. The entire student council, they had student council members out there today helping Matthew put it together, helping Mr. Crawford put it together to help, finish up the process. And so the kids were involved even more so. And Matthew Crawford was working well with the person who did the site work there, Daniel Werner, was working with him on that. And thank you to Daniel Werner Built Homes. He came out and did the flat work. And then, spent a day laying the block. Thank you to Maverick Becht and Lee Building Products, because all of a sudden we realized that somebody else worked at a building product warehouse. And Mr. Becht, we've got his kids here. Next thing you know, we've got pallets of the retaining wall show up. And then all of a sudden we said we needed mulch. And then we had Jason Miller at Riley's Excavating. He said, well, we'll donate the mulch. And so next thing you know, we have this project that, a lot of it just got donated. And so we're just extremely thankful for the community for that. And thankful to all those individuals. And the problem with thanking people is you always leave somebody out. And so if I left anybody out, I sincerely apologize. We had Teacher Appreciation Week. Thank you to the PTSO. We had that. Was that last week or the week before? The week of the 6th, the week before. Just a ton of activities every day of the week. Even the virtual day had box lunches brought in. So just very thankful to the PTSO, and thank you to Mandy Jacobs for chairing that. We do have field day tomorrow. Miss Armstrong, when she does field day, she does it right. She doesn't just set up once for it, plan once, she plans twice, and then she plans 3 times. Because at first we thought that the soccer field might be getting seeded, so we said stay away from that. So then she had it stretched all the way down Meadowlark. But then we figured it was probably going to rain. So now we're going to have it out here and inside tomorrow. So it always runs smoothly, and just thankful to have Miss Armstrong running all that. And she's got a bunch of parent volunteers. They're going to be in the building. So it is going to be a busy, wild day tomorrow. But we're excited for it. The kids are excited for it. Great way to end the year. Awards Day on Thursday, May 23rd. We're going to send out report cards on Friday, and that concludes our school year with the kiddos. Can't believe it. 180 days knocked out like that. So, and then lastly, for me, I just want to thank the school board. It's an appropriate time. Just thank you all for the opportunity the last 3 years to serve the school, the community. It's been an honor and a privilege. This truly is a great place. So just looking forward to see what happens next.
Jeff, we as a school board want to thank you for your past 3 years, and appreciate your loyalty, and wish the best for you in the future.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Velker.
Thank you very much. I also want to congratulate our girls basketball team and our FFA district officers tonight. They all represent our school very well. And I have it a little later on the agenda, but Coach Hinton hit it right. They showed a lot of perseverance on the basketball court, and that was the same perseverance that was showed last night softball game, fiasco softball game, with the girls winning last night and advancing to the semifinals. So get on that. But for the most part, it's been learning as usual for our students as we've gone through the last few weeks, and then we have final exams tomorrow and Thursday. I also want to thank the PTSO for Teacher Appreciation Week because that was a lot of fun and very nice. We did a few fun things. Took the 8th graders to see a movie on as actually Oaks Day, Friday, May 3rd. And we wanted to do something special for them as we get to the end. And hopefully next year we incorporate a few more things for the junior high to just make that different and special to them, and not just that they're little high schoolers, and have the junior high be kind of just have some more activities that are just for them. And then on Derby Day, Jason Hudson, math teacher, took our math members of the academic Super Bowl team to Purdue for the state. They qualified for state, and they finished 4th in their division. Did extremely well, so we're proud of them. We had our iLearn and SAT, and even though the scores are embargoed right now, the little bit that we've seen shows improvement. So been hopefully going to be pleased when they're fully released for us. And then we took AP exams a couple weeks after that, and those results will be back till early July. I had a couple fun things. Floyd Central's ROTC. The kids have all left. One of their instructors came and led Mr. Miller's PE classes, and they thought they were just going to do push-ups and jumping jacks and sit-ups and things, but they played a lot of relay games and had a good time, and that was nice to mix that up. We had our field day, and it rained. So I don't know, Mr. Smitley. So we had gym day, basically, and I was a little worried about it, but the kids had a great time. It was a lot of fun. I learned how to use the Gaga pit during gym day or whatever, and I'm not very good, but I got better as we kept playing and went through. And then we had our SOAR awards that Mrs. Garlock led as we organized that through that day. In fact, Teachers Case Speed Awards, we had to finish it today during the banner signing for the seniors. Prom was last Saturday night. All right. I don't know of any problems that have occurred. We had about 150 kids in attendance at both prom and after prom. And I want to give a huge shout out to our junior parents for after prom because it was very nice. And we didn't have a Gaga pit, but we did have 9 square. So I played a lot of 9 square with some kids on Saturday night. Do that. Spring sports are entering the postseason. Like I said, girls tennis in the regional. I was looking on Twitter for a score, couldn't find one. But they started at 6:00 tonight. Already talked about softball and showing that perseverance in winning. Baseball has their opener tomorrow night, rain permitting with it at South Central. Our track teams ended their season last week at the sectional. But according to kids, a lot of the kids ran their best times at the sectional. And then boys golf doesn't have their sectional till June 3rd. Tomorrow night is our senior scholarships and awards in the gym at 7:00. If anybody wants to stop by and see that. And then graduation is 7:00 Friday night in the gym. And then Becky Clifton is the athletic trainer at Floyd Central. She texted me a little bit ago and talked about Vince Stilger. He's going into the Athletic Trainer Hall of Fame on June 1st. So very proud of Vince. And he is here every morning, 7:00, meeting with those athletes and taking them through things and strength training and all that stuff. So it's very well deserved for Vince to do that. And then with graduation being my first graduation here, I don't know. I shared with Dr. Apple before I accepted the position. My daughter gets married this weekend, so I will not be at graduation. It is rehearsal dinner night. I told him before I took the job that was one of the things. And I heard he was kind of glad he wouldn't have to do graduation, but he's got to do one more.
That's all right. It's a small price to pay to bring you on board.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So I will be at a rehearsal dinner on Friday night. So But that's all I have. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Dr. Okay, does anyone have any questions for either principal? Okay, if not, now we'll move into superintendents. Dr. Apple?
I've just got a few things here. First off, I would like to thank the people of Harrison Hills Baptist Church for once again having lunch for Lanesville Community School Corporation employees this Friday at noon. That is extended to school board members as well. That is always a good time, and that is a wonderful way to wind down the year. And then also board members, if you are available, we always eat breakfast with seniors in here at what time are they? 8:30 on Friday morning. And so if you're available for that, that is also a wonderful thing. I'd like to take a minute to recognize two Lanesville Community School Corporation employees who are retiring at the end of this year. David Hinke, a longtime art teacher here at Lanesville, will be retiring. He's down to 2 days. And then also Miss Penny Schmeltz, who has been here for 22 years and has seen several superintendents in her time as corporation treasurer. And I know for my own sanity, it would have been a much more difficult year without Penny. She is wonderful, and she will be stopping in on a frequent basis as we try to transition without her, because the wealth of her knowledge is outstanding, and she's going to come in and help us whenever she can, and it will be needed. But I just wanted to make sure that I took a minute to recognize those two retirees, and we will recognize them again on Friday at the corporation luncheon, like we always do. Just wanted to let everybody know that that members of the school board and myself went on April 29th to Seymour for the Region 10 School Boards Association meeting, and it was a wonderful event. And it's always good to talk with other superintendents and school board school board members from the area. But more importantly, wonderful to spend some time together outside of these walls where you can get to know each other a little bit better. And so that was wonderful for me. And I look forward to doing more things like that with the school board in the future. And then today we released a survey to parents and guardians of Lanesville Community School Corporation, asking them to identify up to 3 areas that they think in their capacity as parents or guardians that we may need to improve moving forward. We've done this with teachers. We've gathered that information. We've sent this out now to parents and guardians through the email or through Parent Square. We've already, when I came over, and that was this afternoon when we released it to them, already had 14 responses. I'm sure over the next week we'll get several more, and then we will get together in the next few weeks and look those over and weigh that input with some thoughts that we have to help shape Lanesville for the future. But it's definitely important to get the insight from parents and guardians as well as from teachers as we plan for the future. And so it'll be interesting to see what we get out of that. But that's my report.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Apple. Any questions for Dr. Apple for what he just talked about? Yes.
PTSO.
Pardon? PTSO. Yeah, it's going to be next. Okay. Next is PTSO report. Who do we have for that? Okay. Jessica.
And by the way, before she gets talking, if you have not seen her husband's GTO,
No.
it is a beautiful
I
machine.
heard you got to see that.
Oh my goodness. It
What
pulled
year?
up and I about ran outside.
68?
71, 72. I don't know. It's a judge, the GTO judge.
Judge. Okay. 4-barrel.
You can.
I'm out of my realm.
Press.
Out of my realm, Mr. Schickel. It's orange. Has 1 mirror
Duke's
on the
out.
side. That's all I know. Okay, so like Mr. Smitley and Dr. Velker both said, we had Teacher Appreciation Week. We showed teachers and staff all week. Lattes on Monday, made to order. Box lunches on e-learning day for the staff that was in the building. Wednesday, they got flowers. Thursday, Gunther's Chop Shop came in and served them lunch, and they specifically requested that they be able to come in and serve the staff and teachers. And then Friday, we did movie buckets for the weekend. And again, Mandy Jacobs spearheaded that this year, and she did a fantastic job. She keeps telling me that we have lots of leftover things, and I keep telling her that just because her child is moving on to 7th grade, she has not been released from the PTSO. So we're just wrapping up for the year. They had 6th grade rap on Monday. We have field day tomorrow. PTSO has been helping with that. We have lots of volunteers. I think Miss Armstrong said today we have 50 parent volunteers coming in to help that. We had a new board elected. So myself will remain on as president, Kara Robinson as VP, Lauren Werner as treasurer, Rachel Booby is the recording secretary, and Kelly Winslow is the corresponding secretary for the 24-25 school year. We have plans already to meet over the summer to plan our calendar for next year, and with the first event being back to school bash. So we're going to kind of step up and help the elementary kick that off for next year.
And I can tell you just from conversations at various ballparks and other things, when teachers in the county and surrounding areas heard some of the things that our teachers got for Teacher Appreciation
It was amazing.
There was some jealousy.
Yeah.
I can attest to that.
That
You guys
Mandy,
did a wonderful
Mandy
job.
did an amazing job this year. She started working on that in January. So that's for a whole week in May. We just want to shower everybody and show our appreciation. But also, it's Teacher Appreciation Week, but we make sure to include like all the staff. So we bring we bring movie buckets in for the cafeteria staff. We took buckets down to Matthew to hand out to the custodians. Like, everybody does their part around here. We feel like everybody should get a little bit of recognition, but yes. And the community support for donating to that is amazing. Like, everybody kind of steps up and helps out and helps us keep that going.
Truly was wonderful. Thank you,
So,
guys.
thanks.
Thank you, Jessica. Any questions for Jessica, what you just talked about? Okay, thanks again for keeping everything positive. Okay, public comments for agenda items. Okay, hearing none. Permission to post a new nursing assistant position. You want to
Yeah.
comment to that?
We know that we have, and how she has done it for these years is beyond me. But Cassie Guston has served this facility as its lone nurse for years, even through COVID, which was a nightmare. And it's time to get her an assistant. That way, if she's on whichever side of the building, somebody's on the other side to take care of those needs. What I'm asking for now is permission to post that. We are looking at a pay range of, depending on the experience, $18 to $21, and then escalate beyond that. And we are looking to make that a part-time position at 29 and a half hours.
Okay,
And so I'm just asking the board permission with a vote to post that.
okay. Do we have someone to make a motion to?
I'll make a
Allow.
motion. I'll make a motion to post a nursing assistant position.
Okay, Jason made the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second of Tara. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion's carried. Okay, thank you. Now we have, we hate to see Jeff leave, but we have a lady by the name of April Holder to come in as the new elementary principal, and I guess we need to approve her to, she accepted the position, or we need to put the blessing on it to allow her to come on in.
And before you take that vote, I'd like to just say a few words, and then afterwards, if Dr. Holder can say a few words, that would be wonderful. But I have known Dr. Holder for a number of years now, and I don't even know if she remembers or not. But there was a time in our younger career where we served on a legislative committee together through the Principals Association, and then I was fortunate, to have her kids when I was at New Albany High School. And then through the Principals Association, we could not have gotten a more respected candidate for this position, a more experienced candidate for this position. And I enthusiastically ask you guys to vote her in as our next elementary principal at Lanesville Elementary School.
You heard Dr. Ryan or Dr. Apple mention. Who wants to make a motion to accept Mrs. Holder?
I'll make the motion. We accept Dr. April Holder's elementary principal.
I'll second.
Okay, made by Sharon, seconded by Ryan. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's carried. Dr. Holder, would you care to make a few comments? Sure.
I just wanted to thank everyone. My name is April Holder, and just like joining the Lanesville family, it's a commitment to our family as well. So my husband, Don Holder, is here, and I'm not just experience, but mom experience. I have 2 college graduates, a high school senior graduating, and an 8th grader I'm graduating. Miss Hinton was actually our daughter Courtney's algebra teacher many, many years ago. So we always have to behave because we're so connected to each other. And I'm so excited to join the Lanesville community. So thank you for this honor and opportunity. I know change is hard, but change also brings great opportunity. And I want to thank Mr. Smitley for reaching out to try to make sure that the transition is the easiest on staff and on families and on students as possible. Also, Dr. Velker has been just an absolute blessing already to just make sure that we do everything we can to continue the greatness and the winning spirit of Lanesville. So thank you all so much for this opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you.
And Dr. Holder, before you leave, and you can do it now if you're wanting to get out of here. But if we can get a picture of you with the school board, that way we can hopefully get that posted. And
You want to do it now? That'd be fine.
there you go.
Safe travels. Thanks. Okay, next we have a new art teacher, K through 12, to replace Mr. Hankey, Rachel Gaines. We have a motion to accept Mrs. Gaines.
I'll make a motion. We accept Rachel Gaines as a new K through 12 art teacher.
Okay, motion made by Jason. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Sharon. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's carried. Approval of Candace Kalen, the new 5th through 8th grade counselor. Do we have a motion to accept her?
I'll make a motion to accept Candace Kalen as the new 5 through 8 counselor.
Okay, made by Sharon. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Ryan. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion's carried. Approval of the FFA State Convention, June 17th to the 20th at Purdue University for FFA leadership. And if I may, Margot, do you mind just making a few comments on that? What really goes on up there during that time?
Yeah, so really all there is we compete. Not only is it a time for us to grow and get to know each other, but we have everyone that is going has some part in the state convention. So myself, I will be going up on Sunday, and I'll be working behind the scenes. So I'll work all there, but I'll also be slated as the chairman president, like I mentioned, and competing for the ag sales presentation where I was first place at district level. Alex will be competing as well, and that's what he will be slated on. We do other things like going to Purdue and listening to some of the state officers and what they have to say and a whole bunch of different sessions. It's really just for us to learn about Indiana FFA, our history, in our chapter, for us to all grow.
Okay, thank you. Very good. Alex, you have anything you want to add?
No, Margo.
Did she get it right on the spot? She's good.
Good answer.
That's right. No, and as Dr. Apple said, that's the only regret I have FFA. It came in the year after my son Matt graduated. Of course, they didn't even think FFA when I was in school, but that was something. It's more than just corn, beans, and cattle and hogs. It's leadership. As you can see, both of you, it helps develop good leadership. Very good. Thank you. Do we have an approval to send people there on June 7th to 17th to 20th?
I'll make a motion.
Made by Tara,
I'll second it.
seconded by Ryan. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Approval of the high ability contract for intercession, contracts for intercession with B. Moore, T. Dye, L. Holdridge, and E. Boone.
I'll make a motion. We approve the intercession teachers.
Okay, Jason made it. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Sharon. Any other discussion?
I do have those contracts here.
So we'll sign.
Yeah, in this giant stack.
Okay. I was curious by the letters, Tara, when is that Tara died?
Bethany Moore, Tara Dye,
Yeah.
Leslie Holdridge, and Aaron Boone.
Okay. Okay. Did we approve that?
I read intercession.
Yes.
No, we need to do it.
Okay. The I read intercession, contracts, Liz Sharger and Bethany Miller. Do we approve the contracts for those two?
I'll make a motion.
Made by Ryan. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Tara. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion's carried. Change Dennis Haynes' title to bus technician to bus transportation coordinator to reflect his current responsibilities. Also change the pay scale from $15 an hour to $18 an hour, or $18,000
Annually.
annually.
And I'd like to take a minute to kind of explain this for everybody.
Okay.
Years ago, we had a position within the corporation that was called bus technician. And really what they did was they made sure that oil was changed and that kind of thing. As we has transitioned and transformed, and as the corporation has transformed and things evolve, Dennis Haynes has taken that position over. But through the years, what it has evolved to is Dennis is the one that when bus drivers need subs, they contact Dennis. When we have to review routes, they do that. He helps coordinate all of the repairs, not just the little ones in house, but the ones outside. And frequently, as more and more things come on, Dennis picks up more and more of that. And what Dennis is doing is a lot of work for free. And I think we probably need to reflect what Dennis is doing by changing that title, but beyond that, because he is now going to, as I take on testing and a few other things, then start coordinating. And the state has changed how drug testing is being done. They no longer give you the list. It's got to be online and all these things. And as we are increasingly not being able to find contract drivers and having to add more and more corporation drivers, this is becoming more and more critical, and we need to make sure that it's done right. And so that's why I'm asking for the change to reflect what he actually is doing, but then to also, he has spent hours and hours. He's in my office probably 3-4 times a week as we talk about transportation and different things, but to actually compensate him properly.
Sure. How many buses would he be in charge of, basically, other than that? We got, what, 4 mid buses?
We've got 3 mid buses. We're in the process of adding another large bus. And we've got 10, 11, 7, 13, and then potentially we're trying to purchase another large bus because, as we'll talk later, we're losing a bus driver, and that is okay. She's a wonderful lady, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But we're looking at potentially 6 corporation full-size buses, 3 activity buses. The next year, the purchase of a 4th activity bus, and then we're looking, talking with some contract drivers. You don't know how many we're going to have in 3 years from now, and we may be trying to run a full fleet on our own. I hope not. We appreciate those contract drivers, and they're a large part of our school community, but we need to prepare for that moving forward.
Sure. Okay. With that said, do we have a motion to accept Mr. Haynes' new title and pay and salary?
I'll make a motion for Dennis Haynes to be paid $18,000 a year.
Okay, made by Ryan. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Jason. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's carried. Change Carrie Sembler's current title of Corporation Assistant Treasurer to Human Resources Director to better reflect her duties and responsibilities.
Yeah, and what this is years ago, and we were talking about Penny Schmeltz earlier. Years ago, Penny Schmeltz did all of that, and then that became, as things evolved too much, and I think originally that split was somebody just to help Penny out. As things have evolved, Carrie does, like Rita did before her, all of our human resources in the corporation. We're not asking for a pay anything, but when the state reaches out to us for human resources, we want it to reflect that is her designated position. That is her sole responsibility, and this will help do that.
Thank you. Do you have someone
I'll
want to
make
make
a
that motion?
I'll make a motion.
Made by Tara. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Jason. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's carried. Okay. This has to do with the first savings, changing the account names on the account. Need to add Dr. Ryan Apple to the regular checking account, Robert Chickle, Board President, Ryan Apple, Superintendent, David Hussam, Trustee. Add to the money market and CD accounts, removal of Mr. Stephen Morris, Sharon Rothrock, John Lisquency, and Ron Wolf from the money market and CD accounts. Removal of Penny Smeltz in all accounts.
And then also you've got some First Harrison,
Removal of Penny Smeltz from all accounts.
and Trust Indiana.
Indiana
as well.
Trust, removal of Penny Smeltz from all accounts.
And these are just things, nothing's happened, but these are things that you don't think about, and you've got all these accounts, and then all of a sudden you get notification, and you try to check into them or whatever, and people from a dozen years ago were still on the account. So this is just cleaning that up.
Yeah, Mr. Morris. Okay, do we have someone to make a motion to
I'll
that
make a
effect?
motion. I'll make a motion.
Okay, made by Ryan. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Sharon. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's carried. Well, I hate to do this one here, but I can't blame her. Kalinda Havener, she's gonna resignation as our FFA Ag Advisor and sponsor of the 24-25 school year for the FFA program. Kalinda, she called me when she accepted that position up there, and which I don't blame her for going with her small child and right in her back door. And her mentor, what's her name up there in Crothersville? Linda Myers. It was Linda Maxey, but yeah, Linda Myers. I know her person. I worked with her years ago in Farmville. Just a good group up there. So, do we have someone to make a motion to approve Mrs. Havener's resignation?
I'll make a motion that we approve her resignation.
I'll second it.
Okay, made by Jason, seconded by Ryan. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion's carried. Another resignation is from Anna Stockhoff, Successful Center Peer Tutoring Monitor, effective May the 24th of this year. Someone,
I'll make a motion. We accept resignation.
okay, made by Jason. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Tara. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion's carried. Contract, we got a bus contract with Anna Stockhoff Bus 3. She's going to forfeit her contract effective the end of 23-24 school year.
And I would like just to take a second and explain a little bit of that, because
Sure.
typically on buses, when you do a contract, you do that 4-year contract, and there are penalties if you vacate that contract on either side. We are not going to ask for any penalties in this situation. What had transpired, and it's been a rough year for Miss Stockoff. She's a wonderful lady, but as we were getting into bus contracts last year, she had a sudden pass of her husband, and her life was very much up in the air. And what I told her at the time was, go ahead and enter into that contract, and as you sort through everything, and she's got young grandkids, and that's what she really wants to do, is spend some time with those young grandkids. And as you figure things out, we will accommodate any way possible, because a school corporation and a school is a business, but beyond that, we're here to take care of each other. And in her time of need, we told her that, and we will honor that. And she will sub drive some for us and sub in the building some for us. And she very much wants to stay a part of the Lanesville community. But with that tragic event, her life has changed as we hope to never imagine, some of us. But we are going to let her out of that contract penalty free, and thank her for her service to Lanesville Community Schools.
Okay. Do we have a motion to accept Mrs. Stockhoff getting out of her contract?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, made by Tara. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Ryan. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion's carried. How do you want to handle this next one?
What we are going to do, we've got several policies that we have to do the first reading on. There will be no vote on these policies tonight, but this will simply be the first reading. A side note, we have had some conversation. I've got some meetings set up for the summertime with an organization called Neola that helps monitor policies. If you have been on our website, we are severely lacking in our policies. But there are some through legislation that are required to start in July 1, and you'll see several of these as we go through that will have the School Boards Association mark on them. Those are ones that their attorneys have provided. We've got some, like artificial intelligence, that we see as something coming that we need to address, some discrimination policies that we need to address. But these will simply be first readings. We have shared these with the Teachers Association as well, and you guys have a copy as we go through, and as does Gordon Engel, our school board attorney, has a copy of all these and has evaluated these. And as we go through, over the next month after this first reading, if any adjustments need to be made, then the time to do that then would be as we then do a second reading and then a vote in June. But several of these do need to be in place. The first one is our artificial intelligence student implementation policy. And then the purpose of this policy is to establish guidelines for the appropriate and responsible use of artificial intelligence or otherwise known as AI, by students when completing assignments within Lanesville Community School Corporation. Definition of artificial intelligence as we see it. Artificial intelligence refers to computer systems capable of performing tasks that typically require human intelligence. This includes, but is not limited to, machine learning, algorithms, natural language processing, and computer vision. Permissible use of AI or artificial intelligence. Students are permitted to utilize AI tools and technologies to enhance their learning experience and assist with academic assignments. AI may be used for tasks such as research, data analysis, language translation, and problem solving under the supervision and guidance of teachers. Responsible use guidelines. Students must ensure that any AI tool or software used for assignments are appropriately sourced, licensed, and approved by the school. All AI generated content must be clearly identified as such with proper citations and acknowledgments of AI's contribution. Students are responsible for understanding the limitations and biases inherent with AI systems and critically evaluating the results produced. AI should complement, not replace, students' critical thinking skills and academic efforts. Students are expected to engage actively in the learning process. Prohibited activities, plagiarism. Students may not use AI to directly plagiarize or copy content without proper attribution. Unauthorized assistance. Students may not use AI to gain an unfair advantage over their peers or circumvent academic integrity standards. Misrepresentation. Students may not misrepresent AI-generated content as their original work. Accountability and consequences. Violations of this policy will be subject to disciplinary action in accordance with the school's code of conduct. Consequences may include, but are not limited to, academic penalties, loss of privileges, and parental notification. On that area 6, what will happen then is if a form of this gets approved in June, then both schools will then take that and form their own school-based AI policy to handle that discipline, because a first grader and a senior are very different. And so then they will be able to take that and have that for the July board meeting to be approved in their handbook to be ready to go at the start of the school year. Education and awareness. Teachers will provide instruction on the ethical and responsible use of AI, including discussions on bias, privacy, and intellectual property rights. Students will receive guidance on how to effectively integrate AI into their academic workflow while upholding academic integrity. Review and revision. This policy will be reviewed annually by school administrators and faculty to ensure its effectiveness, compliance, and relevance. Updates or revisions to the policy may be made as necessary to address emerging technologies and best practices. Implementation. This policy will be communicated to all students, parents, teachers, and staff members within the school corporation. Training and support will be provided to facilitate the implementation of this policy in classrooms and educational activities. Legal compliance. This policy shall comply with all relevant laws, regulations, and guidelines governing the use of technology and the protection of student privacy and intellectual property rights. That is the proposed AI policy for Lanesville Community School Corporation as the broad policy. And like I said, then once approved in whatever version it is approved, then the schools can adapt that for their own use as far as that goes. What I keep hearing about artificial intelligence, for those of us that are getting kind of older and we remember what it was like 25 years ago when the internet came about, this is similar, but probably advancing much quicker. Some places have adopted policies where they say artificial intelligence is not to be utilized at all. I don't feel that that is the proper way for Lanesville Community Schools to go. Because artificial intelligence is so broad and evolving so quickly that just like the internet was 25 years ago when schools tried to block the internet from being used, I don't think that that is the right move to take. But this is the proposed AI policy. Next month, as we bring these back up, if there is discussion at that point in time, then we will go through and evaluate and hopefully approve an AI policy for the corporation. The next policy to have a first reading on is conflict of interest policy. We currently do not have a conflict of interest policy for Lanesville Community School Corporation. And like in all small school corporations and even large school corporations, you tend to have situations where it is important to have that. The purpose of the conflict of interest policy is to establish guidelines and procedures to identify, disclose, and manage conflicts of interest that may arise within Lanesville Community School Corporation, particularly between individuals in supervisory capacities and their subordinates. This policy aims to ensure transparency, integrity, and ethical conduct in all operations and decision-making processes. Policy statement: Lanesville Community School Corporation recognizes the importance of maintaining the highest standards of integrity and ethical conduct among its employees, particularly those in supervisory roles. This policy outlines procedures for identifying, disclosing, and managing conflicts of interest to prevent any actions that could compromise the corporation's interest or undermine public trust. Definition of conflict of interest. Conflict of interest arises when an employee's personal interest or relationships interfere or appear to interfere with the impartial and objective performance of their duties or responsibilities to the Lanesville Community School Corporation. Conflicts of interest may include, but are not limited to, financial interest, familial relationships, personal affiliations, or outside employment that could influence an employee's decision-making process. Disclosure requirements. Employees, particularly those in supervisory capacities, administration, school board members, directors, supervisors, etc., have a duty to disclose any actual or potential conflicts of interest promptly. Disclosure should be made in writing to the appropriate authority within the school corporation, such as the superintendent or the Board of Education, using the Indiana Uniform Conflict of Interest Disclosure Statement found in Indiana Code 3544.1-1-4. The disclosure form, once completed and approved by Lanesville Community School Corporation School Board, must be filed with the Indiana State Board of Accounts in accordance with the rules that govern the transaction. Review and assessment. Lanesville Community School Corporation Board of Education shall review all disclosed conflicts of interest to determine their nature, significance, and potential impact on the corporation's operations. The review process may involve gathering additional information, consulting legal counsel, and evaluating the conflict's implications for the corporation. All identified conflicts of interest shall come before the Lanesville Community School Corporation Board of Education at a regular meeting to be discussed and approved. Conflict management. Upon review, the designated authority shall develop a plan to manage the identified conflict of interest appropriately. Management strategies may include recusal from decision-making processes, modification of job responsibilities, implementation of monitoring mechanisms, or other measures deemed necessary to mitigate the conflict's effects. Non-relation. The Lanesville Community School Corporation prohibits retaliation against any employee who discloses a conflict of interest in good faith or participates in the resolution process. Employees should feel comfortable reporting conflicts of interest without fear of adverse consequences to their employment status or working conditions. Training and evaluation. Lanesville Community School Corporation shall provide regular training and educational programs to employees, particularly those in supervisory roles, to raise awareness of conflict of interest issues and promote ethical conduct. Training sessions may cover topics such as identifying conflicts of interest, disclosure procedures, ethical decision-making, and the corporation's conflict of interest policy. Review and compliance. Conflict of interest policy shall be reviewed annually by the Lanesville Community School Corporation Superintendent and Board of Education to ensure its effectiveness and compliance with applicable laws and regulations. Employees are responsible for familiarizing themselves with this policy and adhering to its guidelines. And so that is the proposed conflict of interest policy. As we move next, discrimination policy. This is one that we need to have. There it is. Sorry, it takes a minute to load up. There it goes. And I realize this is not a fun activity, but this is probably one of the most important things that we will do. Purpose: the Lanesville Community School Corporation is committed to providing a safe and inclusive learning environment for all students, staff, and community members. Discrimination based on sex, race, disability, religion, or any other protected characteristics is strictly prohibited within Lanesville Community School Corporation. Scope of the policy: this policy applies to all students, staff, volunteers, contractors, and visitors within Lanesville Community School Corporation premises, including all school-sponsored activities, events, and programs. Policy statements. Non-discrimination. Lanesville Community School Corporation prohibits discrimination against any individual on the basis of sex, race, disability, religion, or any other protected characteristic as defined by federal, state, or local laws. Equal access. All students shall have equal access to educational programs, activities, and services offered by the school corporation regardless of their sex, race, disability, religion, or any other protected characteristic. Reasonable accommodations shall be provided to ensure accessibility for students with disabilities. Equal opportunity employment. Lanesville Community School Corporation is committed to providing equal employment opportunities to all individuals without regard to sex, race, disability, religion, or any other protected characteristic. Hiring, promotion, compensation, and other employment-related decisions shall be made based on qualifications, merit, and job-related criteria. Prevention of harassment. Harassment including but not limited to sexual harassment, racial harassment, disability harassment, and religious harassment is prohibited within Lanesville Community School Corporation. All forms of harassment, whether verbal, physical, or electronic, are unacceptable and will not be tolerated. Procedures. Any student, staff member, or individual who believes that they have been subject to discrimination or harassment or who has witnessed such behavior is encouraged to report the incident to a teacher, counselor, administrator, or other designated personnel. Reports can be made verbally or in writing, and all complaints will be promptly and thoroughly investigated. Investigation response. Upon receiving a report of discrimination or harassment, Lanesville Community School Corporation administration or designated individuals will conduct a prompt, impartial, and thorough investigation. Appropriate disciplinary action will be taken against individuals found to have engaged in prohibited conduct up to and including suspension, termination, or expulsion in accordance with applicable policies and procedures. Compliance with laws. This policy is consistent with all applicable federal, state, and local laws regarding non-discrimination and equal opportunity, including but not limited to Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972, Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, and the Americans with Disabilities Act. Enforcement. Violation of this policy may result in disciplinary action up to and including expulsion for students or termination of employment for staff members. Any retaliation against individuals who report discrimination or harassment is strictly prohibited and will result in disciplinary action. Review and revision. This policy shall be reviewed annually by the Lanesville Community School Corporation Superintendent and the Lanesville Community School Corporation School Board with updated as necessary to ensure compliance with changes in laws, regulations, and best practices related to non-discrimination and equal opportunity. Adoption. Implementation. This policy will be communicated to all students, parents, teachers, and staff members within the school corporation. Training and support will be provided to facilitate the implementation of this policy in classrooms and educational activities. Legal compliance. This policy shall comply with all relevant laws, regulations, and guidelines governing the use of technology and the protection of student privacy and intellectual property rights. And then effective date, this policy shall take effect immediately upon approval by the Lanesville Community School Corporation School Board and shall remain in force until revised or rescinded. The next policy that we need to do a reading on is employee travel policy. Sorry, it takes a minute to load. All right. And this is the employee incurred expenses and business travel reimbursement policy. Lanesville Community School Corporation may pay actual and reasonable business related expenses subject to limitations incurred by employees in the performance of their job responsibilities. Other than an emergency, business expenses should be pre-approved by the administrator or immediate supervisor. Receipts are required for all items purchased or charged by the employee, and request for reimbursement must be itemized on the approved Lanesville Community School Corporation accounts payable voucher. The administrator or immediate supervisor must approve all such expenses incurred by an employee before the corporation office will make payment. Claims are to be submitted by the corporation office and supported by evidence of proof of purchase, such as receipts. Claims are due in the corporation office by the last working day of each month and or within 30 days of travel. Business travel is subject to the following guidelines. Travel-related requests must have prior approval of the administrator or immediate supervisor. Certain trips require board approval, such as outside Indiana trips that are required an overnight stay. Those trips should be requested at least 6 weeks in advance of the trip, but no later than the first of the month. Reimbursement for travel-related expenses should be discussed with the employee supervisor prior to the trip. If the administration requests the trip, reasonable transportation, lodging, and meals may be reimbursed. Snacks, movies, phone calls, alcoholic beverages, souvenirs, and similar expenses are not reimbursable. Mileage reimbursement for approved professional development conferences and intra-district travel is reimbursed at the Internal Revenue Service approved rate. Use the mileage reimbursement form for the current year, and then that will be located at the central office once approved. Mileage is to be claimed either from your home or work address, whichever is closest, since normal travel to work is not reimbursable, not a reimbursable expense. And included map information, MapQuest, Google Maps, etc., with the shortest mileage claim attached to the mileage claims form or board-approved mileage. Odometer readings should only be used when the map information is unavailable. This is required by State Board of Accounts to verify miles for which reimbursement is sought. Mileage reimbursement requests must be submitted to the corporation office within 30 days of the date of travel. All parking expenses and highway tolls incurred as a result of business travel will be reimbursed. An itemized receipt will be required. All air travel must be approved in advance by the employee's supervisor and or administrators. All personnel will travel economy class. The duplicate airline ticket receipt should be attached to the Lanesville Community School Corporation reimbursement form. Lanesville Community Schools insures employees who fly when traveling on Lanesville Community School Corporation business with a travel accident rider to our regular group insurance policy. Purchase of additional air travel insurance is not reimbursable. Lanesville Community Schools does not generally provide the use of a rental car. Exceptions to this rule must be approved by the administrator or immediate supervisor. If a rental car is used, additional insurance should not be purchased because of our existing insurance coverage. A copy of the rental car agreement form must accompany the travel reimbursement form. Reimbursement for lodging is subject to the following maximum allowed amounts. Detailed receipt required. $200 a night or the conference hotel rate. Lodging will only be reimbursed when the conference is more than 85 miles one way from Lanesville Community School Corporation. Reimbursement for meals is subject to the following maximum allowed amounts. Itemized receipts required. Breakfast $10, lunch $15, dinner $30, including reasonable tip. Expenses above the allowed amount are not reimbursable and are the responsibility of the employee. Meals included as part of the conference package are not subject to these maximums. Snacks, alcoholic beverages, and similar expenses are not reimbursable. Use of midbus corporation vehicles should be used when traveling to extracurricular activities, and that should say when applicable. So that change will be made. Personnel vehicles personal vehicle use will not be reimbursed when traveling to ECA event unless prior approved from reporting administrator. Conferences and meetings. Employees may request professional day or Lanesville Community Schools financial support or both to attend conferences or meetings sponsored by institutions or professional organizations. The subject matter to be presented must relate directly to the employee's position or provide beneficial information to be shared in the employee's department. The employee supervisor and or administrators must approve the employee's participation in the conference or meeting. Lanesville Community School Corporation may pay for the following expenses if attendance is approved: registration fees, travel costs, lodging and meal expenses not covered by registration. Time off for attendance and travel during normal working hours will be paid at the normal rate of pay. Relocation of current or new employees. Lanesville Community School Corporation shall not provide reimbursement for moving expenses incurred by any new or current classified employee. Required administration approval. All employee travel, mileage, purchase requisitions, and other business-related expense reports must have a supervisor or administrator's approval. Employees are required to request approval in advance of expenditures whenever possible. All claims are due in the corporation office within 30 days and when possible by the end of the month. These reports must have the employee's signature and date and must be approved by the employee's supervisors and or administrators. Purchase order process. Please make every effort to purchase items through a vendor that accepts purchase orders. All orders must be pre-approved by the building principal and central office on a requisition form. Staff member generates the requisition form and gives it to the bookkeeper. You must use the purchase order request form provided by the central office. Bookkeeper assigns the correct budget account number and requests the principal's approval and signature. If approved, bookkeeper will submit the purchase order. If purchasing with grant funds, approval is required by the grant administrator. If purchasing technology, approval is required by the director of technology. After all approvals have been completed, it is presented to the superintendent for final consideration. If approved, a purchase order will be generated at the central office. Orders for merchandise will be placed by the bookkeeper. When supplies arrive and are inventoried, please notify the bookkeeper immediately if there are any discrepancies in the order. Invoices cannot be paid until the staff member confirms receipt of the merchandise ordered by signing and returning the packing slips to the bookkeeper. If no packing slips are received, please verify by email and reference the PO number. That is a lot. But that is a policy that we sorely are lacking. We have been very, very fortunate through the years at Lanesville Community School Corporation that we have tremendously honest employees, but we must always protect ourselves for future incidents. And so that is one that I have for your consideration. The next one, habitual truant policy. This is one that state statute coming out of this past legislation session mandates that we have, and it needs to be in place by July 1. It's coming up. All right. This is one that we pulled directly from the School Boards Association. And so it has the ISBA code 4322 on it. Habitual truant is defined as a student who has 10 or more days of unexcused absences. All students who are at least 13 years of age but less than the age of 15 years and who are determined to be a habitual truant per the definition above are subject to Indiana law, which provides that any person who is determined to be a habitual truant as defined by the school board policy cannot be issued an operator license or learner's permit until the age of 18 or until the student's attendance record has improved as determined by the principal upon review of the student's record or at least once per school year. Procedures developed for the administration of this policy shall include provisions for periodic review of all students determined to be habitual truants and their reclassification when warranted. These procedures will be developed by the superintendent or designee. And this is one that this is where it varies a little bit. And so I made sure I had that strike there and to show what I would like it to reflect. The student's principal may report to the Indiana Bureau of Motor Vehicles of the student's status as habitual truant. Years ago, state law dictated that you had to report that. Now you may report that, and I would like to reflect that in this policy. The student, upon initial designation of being a habitual truant, is entitled to the same statutory procedures as a student who is being expelled. A student who has been designated as a habitual truant will not be allowed to participate or continue participation in extracurricular activities and co-curricular activities. So that means if we designate somebody as habitual truant, they are not allowed to play sports or do any of those things. And that is something that was dictated, that we made a policy statement on in legislation this past session. So we had to have a statement in there regarding that, whether we will allow them to or not. That is up for your consideration. The next one, K-12 electronic devices in classroom policies. This is another one that we had to have by the start of the school year based off of legislation that came this past session. Electronic device usage policy in K-12 classrooms. In accordance with Indiana law, Lanesville Community School Corporation Board of Education limits the use of electronic devices in classrooms to only times, instances designated by the educational leader, teacher, administrator, instructional assistant, substitute, etc. To assist with Lanesville Community School Corporation's compliance with Indiana state law, the following policy outlines guidelines for electronic device usage in K-12 classrooms. Scope: the policy applies to all students within Lanesville Community School Corporation. Policy statement: electronic devices, including but not limited to smartphones, tablets, Chromebooks, and laptops, are prohibited in classrooms unless explicitly approved by the teacher or other designated educational leader for educational purposes. Teachers may permit the use of electronic devices for specific educational activities such as research, presentations, note-taking, or assisting educational apps and platforms. Students found using electronic devices in the classroom without teacher approval shall be subject to disciplinary action as outlined in the student's school's code of conduct. Expectations or exceptions to this policy may be granted for students with documented disabilities or special needs, in which case alternative arrangements shall be made in consultation with relevant school personnel and parents or guardians. In instances where electronic devices are permitted, students are expected to use them responsibly and in accordance with the teacher's instructions. This includes adhering to guidelines regarding internet usage, app selection, and respectful communication with peers and teachers. Teachers reserve the right to confiscate electronic devices that are being used inappropriately and causing disruptions to the learning environment. Confiscated devices will be returned to students in accordance with the student's school's policy. Once this gets adopted as a corporation policy, it will then give backbone for each individual school to adopt their own school-specific policy, because we do recognize, like discussed before, that may look different in a kindergarten class than it does in a sixth grade class, than it does in a ninth grade class, and then it does in an AP language class. But this will meet the law and give each individual school a place to then adapt their school-specific policy. Next, release for religious instruction policy. This is another one that was mandated by the legislation this past session and must be put in place by July 1. And when it comes up, we will read it. The purpose of this policy is to provide students with the opportunity to receive religious instruction outside of regular school hours while maintaining compliance with state regulations and respecting the diversity of beliefs within our community. Scope: this policy applies to all students within Lanesville Community School Corporation. Policy statement: students enrolled in Lanesville Community School Corporation shall have the opportunity to participate in religious instruction programs conducted by a church, an association of churches, or an association organized for religious instruction and incorporated under Indiana law. This policy ensures that students have access to religious education while respecting the rights and beliefs of all individuals. Implementation guidelines: written notice. Guardians must provide written notice to the school indicating their desire for their child to participate in religious instruction programs. This notice should include the name of the organization conducting the instruction. Upon receipt of the written notice, the school will provide the necessary forms for enrollment in the religious instruction program. Duration and frequency: religious instruction sessions shall not exceed 120 minutes per week. The frequency and scheduling of religious instruction sessions shall be determined by the organization providing the instruction. Transportation to and from religious instruction programs is the responsibility of the guardians or the organization providing the instruction. The school district shall not provide transportation to religious instruction sessions. Facilities: the school district shall not provide facilities for religious instruction sessions. Religious instruction sessions shall be conducted off school premises at a location designated by the organization providing the instruction. Attendance and academic requirements: students participating in religious instruction programs shall remain subject to the attendance and academic requirements of the school district. Participation in religious instruction shall not exempt students from their regular academic responsibilities or affect their academic standing within the school. Non-discrimination: participation in religious instruction programs shall be voluntary and open to all students regardless of their religious beliefs. The school district shall not discriminate against any student based on their participation or non-participation in religious instruction programs. Supervision: the organization providing the religious instruction shall be responsible for the supervision of students during instruction sessions. School district personnel shall not be responsible for the supervision of students during religious instruction sessions. Legal compliance: this policy shall comply with all relevant laws, regulations, and guidelines governing the use of technology and the protection of student privacy and intellectual property rights. I think that may need, nobody caught that. That will need to be altered. That was pulled from something else.
Property rights.
Yeah. And so make sure when we go through, I will note that, and then we will revisit that on that second reading. And that's why we do first readings. Review and revision: this policy shall be reviewed annually by the Lanesville Community School Corporation Superintendent and Lanesville Community School Corporation School Board to ensure its effectiveness and compliance with state regulations. Amendments may be made to this policy as necessary. This meets the guidelines by the legislation, and it will keep us in compliance. Next, and we're almost done, student attendance policy. And this is another one that is required by the state of Indiana to be put in place by July 1. This is the first reading. This is derived directly from the School Boards Association. This one is very different, as you will notice, from any policy that we currently have. The timelines do not match up with what we currently have, but they are in state statute, so they must remain. Miss Rothrock has noticed something as we've gone through, and I've had several conversations. I will check on, and I'll point it out when we get there, when it talks about unexcused absences, to check on the wording. Student attendance policy. This comes from ISBA code 4320. Promptness and dependability are important values in our society, and it's appropriate that they be stressed in school. All students are expected to attend school regularly and to be on time for classes in order to receive maximum benefit from the instructional program and to develop habits of punctuality, self-discipline, and responsibility. Some truths about school attendance. Regular school attendance is a valuable characteristic. There are legitimate reasons for students to miss school. When a student is not in attendance, school does go on. It is legitimate and proper for the school to set time limits of controllable absences from school beyond which students and their parents will be referred to an attendance review committee. Attendance limits. If a student accumulates 10 unexcused absences from school during a semester, the student and parent will be referred to attendance officer for appropriate action. Absences due to a disciplinary suspension will not count toward the 10-day limit. Absences are classified into two classes, excused and unexcused absences. This is where we're going to double check to see if this should say excused absences instead of unexcused, because it says the following absences are excused and do not count toward the 10-day limit. Service as a page in Indiana legislature, serving as a poll worker on election day or helper to a political party or candidate, active duty with the Indiana National Guard, the United States Armed Forces, or their reserve components, Civil Air Patrol participation, exhibiting at or participating in the Indiana State Fair or member of the student's household up to 5 days, and if the student is in good academic standing. Court appearances with a subpoena, personal illnesses with a note from a doctor, personal illnesses with a note from a parent, death in the immediate family, absences due to medical or dental appointment with doctor's office documentation. School-sponsored field trips, student will be considered in attendance at school. Unexcused absences. All absences not designated as excused shall be considered as unexcused absences. All unexcused absences will count toward the 10-day limit. Truant. A student will be considered truant when the absence from school is without the knowledge and approval of a school official or parent. A full day's absence will occur when a student is absent for 5 or more periods in a day. A half day's absence will be charged if a student is absent 1 to 4 periods for the junior/senior high school, and 30 minutes to 3.5 hours for the elementary school. Excused absences and written verification. Written verification must be presented for all excused absences. The written excuses must be turned into the attendance officer upon the student's return to school. In the case of an absence due to a doctor's appointment or illness for which the student is under the care of a physician, the student must present a signed and dated note from the physician's office to verify this absence. Makeup work. Students must make up all work missed due to an absence. It is the student's responsibility to arrange for making up the work. As a rule, the student will have the same number of days to make up the work missed as the length of absence. In the case of a planned absence, the arrangements to determine when the work will be due should be made before the absence. Teachers may assign an attendance grade of up to 5% of the total grade for the grading period. Only unexcused absences will be deducted from the attendance grade. Vacations and other planned absences, including college visits. Students who wish to be excused from school for vacations and other planned absences must submit a form signed by all teachers and the parent or guardian 2 full days before the first of such absences to enable schoolwork to be made up for credit. All absences for this nature count toward the 10-day limit. The parent or guardian should contact the school personally to arrange for such absences. Intervention procedure. When a student has accumulated 5 absences, the attendance officer will send a letter to the parent or guardian. When the student has accumulated 7 absences, a parent conference will be requested. After a student has reached the 10-day limit, a violation will occur upon the next unexcused absence. This violation will result in a mandatory meeting of the parent and student with the attendance officer. The attendance officer may recommend the following: expulsion for the remainder of the semester, written contract, or an individual intervention plan. The recommendation of the attendance officer will be presented to the principal for final determination. Truancy prevention procedures. The following procedures apply to students enrolled in kindergarten through 12th grades who have 5 unexcused absences in a 10-week period. The school shall, upon the student's 5th unexcused absence in the 10-week period, will immediately provide a written notice to the parents. Such written notice shall include: the student is an absent student based upon having 5 unexcused absences within a 10-week period. The parent is responsible for monitoring the school attendance of the student and ensuring the student attends school. The school will be initiating truancy prevention measures in regards to the absent student. The parent is required to attend an attendance conference concerning the truancy measures the school will be implementing, and such conference will not be more than 5 instructional days after the 5th unexcused absence occurred, and the superintendent or the attendance officer are required to report if the student is a habitual truant to juvenile court or the Department of Child Services, wherein the juvenile court may determine the student committing the delinquent act under state law, and the parent may be prosecuted for educational neglect. The school shall hold an attendance conference to discuss the student's absences to establish an attendance plan. The conference will be with the following people: school representative, a teacher of the student, the parent of the student, parent's representative if parent gives 48 hours notice of the representative's attendance, and the name of the representative. The school shall establish an attendance plan that includes wraparound services to ensure school attendance for the student, a description of the behavior required and or prohibited for the student, the effective time period for the plan, but not to exceed 45 instructional days, disciplinary actions the school will take if the student does not comply with the plan, a referral to counseling, mentoring, or other services for the student as appropriate, whether the parent is required or expected to attend the services assigned to the student, the signature of the student and the parent agreeing to the plan, and then attendance instructional time. And through all that, you can see why we definitely need an additional administrator to help monitor all of this stuff. In-person instruction, attendance shall mean to be physically present in a school or at another location where the school's educational program is being conducted during regular school hours on a day the educational program in which the student is enrolled is being offered. Virtual instruction. Attendance shall mean student engagement in the virtual classroom. Engagement in the virtual classroom shall be measured by daily logins and log times, completed daily work, completed weekly work, completed projects, communications with teachers on a daily or weekly basis, and any other requirements as determined by the virtual instruction teacher. Students attending virtual instruction are subject to the same instructional time requirements as students attending in person, which is 5 hours for students in grades 1 through 6, 6 hours for students in grades 7 through 12 per day. Blended instruction. Student attendance for blended instruction will be counted for the in-person days as outlined for in-person instruction and for the virtual instruction days as outlined for virtual instruction. Remote instruction. Student attendance for remote learning shall mean evidence of participation in the activities designed by the teacher for remote learning lessons. Documentation of weekly or daily pickup and return of the assignments will be used as evidence of participation. All students are expected to attend school, whether by in-person, virtual, blended, or remote instruction. All provisions of this policy apply to all students enrolled and receiving instruction in person, virtually, or in a blended format. The state law requires that wording. Currently, we do not have a blended or virtual program, and we do not have to require one, but it needs to be in there in the event that we do.
State wrote that one.
School Board Association. But a lot of that is due to state-specific verbiage.
Okay.
So the 5 days in 10 weeks, is very specific, and there was a lot of conversation with School Board Association attorneys who informed us that you cannot alter that. That has to be that way because it is in state statute. And then one that we have to do based off of an audit, improper use of school resources and employee time policy. And this is the last one. Thank goodness. Purpose. This policy aims to ensure the appropriate use of school employee work time and school purchase commodities and resources by prohibiting the preparation for or hosting of banquets, celebrations, or similar functions during school hours, and by prohibiting the use of school commodities and resources for the preparation of or the execution of banquets, celebrations, or similar functions. Policy statement: use of school employee work time and school purchased commodities for the preparation of banquets, celebrations, or similar functions during school hours is strictly prohibited. School employees are expected to perform their regularly designated work duties during designated work hours. School purchased commodities such as food, ingredients, utensils, equipment, and facilities should not be diverted from or for personal or unauthorized use. In the event that external events such as banquets or celebrations are to be hosted on school premises, arrangements must be made through the appropriate channels and may not interfere with the regular operations of the school staff. Violation of this policy may result in disciplinary action, including but not limited to verbal warnings, written warnings, suspension, or termination of employment for employees. Implementation. School administration shall ensure that all employees are informed of this policy and provided with appropriate training on its provisions. Monitoring mechanisms shall be put in place to detect and address any instances of policy violations, and appropriate action shall be taken as necessary. Regular reviews of this policy shall be conducted to assess its effectiveness and relevance, with any necessary updates or revisions made in consultation with relevant stakeholders. This policy shall be adopted by the Lanesville Community School Corporation and shall be effective immediately upon approval by the Lanesville Community School Corporation Board of Trustees. All employees and stakeholders shall be notified of this policy, and copies shall be made available for reference as needed. This policy shall be subject to periodic review and may be amended or updated as necessary to reflect changes in circumstances, regulations, or best practices. And then we will put that date on there, and that is because we have to get that to State Board of Accounts once approved. Those are the proposed policies. Next time we go through these in June, we will only address any changes to those policies. We will not bore everybody and their brother by reading all of them again. Again, we will only verbally read any changes that need to be made in those policies. But I do ask you to consider that first reading of these policies, and we will address them again and do a second reading and hopefully approval in June.
It's a marathon.
Yes.
I'm assuming this a copy of all these once we adopt and change where we need to. The copy will be in all student handbooks.
Well, the ones that apply to students, some that don't, the employee travel policy, those things will not. They will be put in the employee. But yes, the ones that, and that's why we've got to get it done by July 1 because school's starting. But then they need that month to adopt them to school specific to get in and approved in their handbooks as they need to see make those changes. But yes, this will be the backbone of those policies.
Well, that was a lot of reading.
Yeah, I'm
You need
parched.
water?
I'll get it here in a minute.
Okay, who wants to make a motion to accept the first reading of these policies?
I'll make a motion.
Made by Tara. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Jason. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's carried. Got a couple fundraisers. We got volleyball trivia night and chili dinner on August the 10th and youth soccer camp June the 15th to the 18th, $20 a player. Do we have approval to approve the fundraisers?
I'll make a motion. We approve those two fundraisers as listed.
Made by Sharon. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Tara. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's carried.
And don't forget
And then
that I
the
have.
25th, 26th. Yeah, you want to explain? I mean,
Yeah.
kinda
And as
notes
you
for that.
heard through a lot of these policies, not only do we need some assistance just normally with our two building administrators, but such a heavy emphasis has been put on attendance by the state legislature. with the attendance officer, the attendance meetings, the attendance conferences, all of those steps. There's no way that they would be able to do that and still lead a building structurally. And so I am asking for approval of a K-12 assistant principal. We are going to advertise contracted days of 205 days at $80,000 with the administrative benefits package that we currently have. So I'm asking for approval to post that position. And then we will do interviews and hopefully have somebody ready to go in June so we can start working on these things in July.
Who will they report to?
This person, they will, and they will be split. So much like the counselor, the 5 through 8 counselor, they will report to both principals and myself. They will have various tasks depending on the building. It will be a unique position, but I think one that suits Lanesville well. And so they will report to the two of them and myself.
We've talked about this sometime, the workload changing. I'm just thinking this is probably not appropriate, but I'm just thinking here, where would be an office for he or she?
What is going to happen? We have sorted through that with Ms. Stockoff leaving. We are not going to fill that position as currently is. Currently, she works a study hall, a peer tutor study hall. Her room will be converted. Miss Robin Morgan will utilize that as her counseling room. It's got plenty of room in it for her counseling table that she will need, because last legislative session hit high school counselors very hard. This one picked it up. She has to have a lot more room. She's got to have a lot more meetings. She will be moving into that area. And then the new counselor 5 through 8 will be in the high school office, as will this position. But they will be back to where Miss Morgan's office currently is now. That way they've got access quickly to either building. But that is those are the last spaces we have. The next person we need to add will probably be in a corner back here in the cafeteria.
Okay.
Or they can have my office and I'll work from home.
There we go.
Okay. Do we have a motion to accept the putting up for invitation for assistant principal K through 12?
I make a motion that we post an assistant principal position for K through 12.
I'll
Sharon
second
made
it.
the motion. Who seconded?
I'll second it.
Jason seconded. Any other discussion? I know Jason talked about this sometime, that this is a need here.
Yeah, and this is one thing that we heard already as we spoke with teachers, and from the survey, and then from conversations. Teachers also feel that this is a position that is definitely needed in our building, and I've even seen it from the 14 already parents that we've got. There are several that stated that they felt that there was some help needed in the offices.
Okay. Say we got a motion and a second. So all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's carried. Now, I guess we're ready for adjournment, unless there's any board member we're ready for adjournment. If anybody wants to make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Tara made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Well, I'll second it. Let's
Okay,
go.
Ryan or Jason seconded, and everybody just get up. Thank you, and
Okay. We
Thanks
gotta
for coming
sign
tonight.
stuff, y'all. Don't leave yet. We gotta
Still.
sign.
I think my legs are.